Mombasa 87.9, 102.5 in Kisumu, 96.0 in Nakuru, Eldoret 96.7, 90.9 in Nyeri, 97.7 in Malindi. And of course, we live stream this show every morning on www.spicefm.co.ke. We are also on YouTube. We're being watched by very many people around the world. There's somebody called George who has sent us a message saying, I'm catching you guys loud and clear on YouTube from Germany. And welcome and thank you very much for tuning in, George. Facebook and Twitter as well, Spice FM KE. You can join the conversation on 0719-012-600 and also on our all those social media handles, including Instagram, Spice FM KE. Now, today is the day.
Yep, cue music.
Another one of freedom is coming tomorrow. Today is, Independence Day. It's unleashing the dragon and everything else. Today is the day that marks the end of the extension by 30 days of the strict quarantine measures. Not strict, but just cessation of movement and night curfew that were instituted by the government. And the president said, look, I'd really like us to open up the economy, but experts are telling me that, you know what, if we just relax our intervention measures right now, by 20% we are likely to see a huge spike in terms of the number of positive cases. Now, also remember that the disease is showing itself in some colors. The people who are more vulnerable to this disease are the elderly and people with underlying conditions, pre-existing conditions. The people who are really transmitting this virus, those who are being found to be positive, are within a certain age demographic. And there's now a risk of, if you allow increased movement of these people, and then they come into contact with their elderly relatives, parents, and all, and people who are vulnerable in terms of other illnesses, you are likely now to see a huge spike. And the president said, okay, so the Brain Trust has given us some irreducible minimums on what we need to do to prepare ourselves for a reopening of the economy, because we must at some point relax these measures and start learning to live with it. For us to live with it, it means that we do something. Counties need to up their game in terms of preparation for fighting COVID-19. All of us need to understand what we need to do, personal responsibility and individual responsibility. Continuous sanitization, wearing of masks, observing physical distancing, observing crowded areas, and as much as possible. All those things are supposed to at least have some indication at the end of these 30 days. And from all indicators, including what we hear from the president himself, is that first of all, the counties haven't reached that point, which is the threshold in terms of increasing their bed capacity. Nairobi itself is already getting to a point where it's overwhelmed. The government has told us over and over and over again. We see reports, the 100 bed capacity at Mbagathi, the extra bed capacity at KU Teaching and Referral Hospital, in terms of our ICU beds. Recently, you've seen a lot of chatter on social media, people saying, I had a relative and we were looking for an ICU bed and we had to move all the way, ending up in Rongai, ending up in Thika, and still having to queue to wait for an ICU bed. So we are at that point. Therefore, are we ready to reopen?
I mean, looking at reports that have come out this morning in terms of what was happening as late as last night were between counties and between the national government, is that, all right, there's some talks and, if we want to go with rumor has it that, there may be an agreement to open up the economy again and release measures. But then the responsibility and then the onus then lies with county governments and their leaders, who in this case are the governors, to say that then there are certain things, if we're going to say open up, I have no problem with that. However, at the county level then, are you ready to take responsibility then for what would happen? Number two, are you ready to make sure that you're going to instill measures that is going to make sure you take care of everybody? And now we're talking about those things like, wearing of masks and making sure that you have all that you need when it comes to quarantine and isolation in terms of bed in medical facilities and things like this, and the right protocol put in place. So essentially they're saying, are you ready to take responsibility for what would happen if we open up within your counties? And then now that responsibility is being placed on the shoulders of governors and saying, if you agree to this, then we will open up. But if you're not ready, then let things essentially stay as they were. See, just a second, because there are three things. They said, look, experts have advised that infections must be contained. And we're talking about infections being contained at a time whereby we are realizing the highest number of infections ever in the country, right? And not just contained, but then they're headed downwards. They must be contained. So if you're stopping at 400 or whatever, every day they must start to decrease. Secondly, the health system must be prepared to deal with a surge in infections should it happen. And thirdly, the state security machinery and health authorities should have enough capacity for contact tracing. Those are the three things that they're looking at. So if you want to ask yourself, in the chronology of events up until now, have these three things ever at one point in tandem been realized? And those are the things they're looking at and saying, if these three things cannot be realized nationally, at county level, then it is not possible for us to. But again, looking at the fact that responsibility is being placed on the shoulders of the leaders of counties, if they're able to do that, then they're saying, all right, we will go ahead and do this. But now, is there an agreement there? That's the question.
It's not even an agreement. This is one of those situations where the national government actually
shirking its responsibility.
No. No.
It's the opposite.
It's the complete opposite. They actually gave all these counties money to set up the very things they're asking.
To do a job, basically.
Yes, they did.
So you're saying money has been given to counties to do this?
Well,
we have a governor. That is why I brought it up, so that he can
answer,
confirm or deny that this was actually the case.
You know, as the governor settles down, we have Dr. Alfred Mutua, the governor of Machakos County, the multilingual governor of Machakos County, is joining us as we allow him to settle down and then start this conversation with him. So we are saying that the national government has pushed that responsibility to the counties and even resource allocated.
I'm not
resources
saying
to
they've
them.
given enough money. I said they gave some money to the counties.
For me, why does this have to be a national versus county government?
It's not. No.
Because at
we
every
are making
level,
it
at
county
every level,
versus national.
Yes, why?
But what I'm saying, it isn't. It isn't.
It's a government.
It isn't. Look, county governments are governments, and they have certain responsibilities. Now, the pushback will be, or the pushback I hope you to bring up is, why doesn't the national government actually give the county governments the money that they should get? Because then this argument would be quite different. There's always a shortfall, and there's always a story, and there's always an argument around it. But I'm talking COVID. Governor.
Dr. Alfred Mutua.
You at least welcome the governor, people.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
How are you?
Welcome. You're about to throw a heavy question.
Unajua kuna msimu wa corona, kwa hivyo siku hizi unafanya tu mambo chap chap.
Yes.
That had to come in.
You have to move.
Okay, so let me be the one to welcome you to the Situation Room, Governor Alfred Mutua.
And I like the way the conversation was going because, when it comes to the issues of coronavirus, there is a point that has been aptly made, and that is counties should not be struggling. They should have gotten the resources allocated to them, which at times they don't get. There should be clear resourcing of counties as per the constitution and the law that is set out in Schedule 2, which has not really happened over time. But however, as been also asked, is that counties also have to be responsible for the decades they get in. Many people have told me, Machakos, you're doing well, and all that. It's because we looked at what was devolved for us and we invested heavily. I mean, Machakos, the only reason Machakos is doing better than others, we now have 463 isolation beds as per last night, is because we started the journey of improving our healthcare as soon as they got in. We got the ambulances, we built the community hospitals so that we could meet the WHO guidelines of 5-10 kilometers. We improved our healthcare. We employed nearly about 1,300 new health workers. So it's a balancing act. It's a national government, but also counties have to pull up their socks when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah, so Governor, in terms of that, how was Machakos able to do that? How were you able to do that? Why did other county governments not do that? Did you have a special allocation, or did you reallocate the county budget?
What I did is that I think it comes back to leadership. I've always believed that everything starts and stops with healthcare, and everything that supports healthcare, including road accidents, are a healthcare issue. So what I did is, when I got into Machakos, it was so sad because you could smell the maternity from about 100 to 150 meters. The placentas, the hospitals were dirty. The national government, being controlled by Afia House in Nairobi. Had basically crushed. The hospitals, people are sharing beds, 2 to 3. You find 3 women sharing beds. One is pregnant, one has a funny head disease, another one has a funny wound in their back, sharing beds. So the first thing I did was to say, I'm going to prioritize on healthcare. I made sure that there was no sharing of beds. We cleaned up the hospitals. I'm proud to say that I have the cleanest, I think, public hospitals, if not hospitals basically, across the country. All of them up to the health center. We went in and reorganized how hospitals are run. I immediately employed 800 new nurses, new specialists. I put a large amount of my budget. Actually now, nearly 70% of my wage bill is on healthcare. So it was personal choice that once you take care of healthcare, other things will take care of themselves.
So are you saying, Governor, that the money that was allocated to your county was enough?
It was not enough. It was about taking it away from others.
Mm-hmm.
It was about taking away from others. So I put more money into healthcare, which meant other sectors also suffered.
Yeah.
I wish I'd had more money
question.
so that we could balance. But it was a personal choice. You look at what there is on the table, and you decide what are your priorities. My priorities is keeping people alive. When I bought the ambulances, so that now everybody is ferried, so that no woman gives birth on the street, no child dies being carried by a mkokoteni or a wheelbarrow, because that is a shame 60 years after independence. I spent money. I have to spend money keeping that, setting up all these systems, but then I also denied other sectors.
Right.
But had I gotten all the money that I needed to start with, I would be doing much better.
So Governor, you're saying, number one, counties are not getting enough money to give basic basic services, and so you prioritized healthcare. Now, in the wake of COVID, those counties that did not make investments, because you are saying you've made investments over the past almost now 7 years,
Yes,
that have made an impact. There are counties that haven't. Maybe counties have spent quite a lot on healthcare. Maybe some don't have as good impactful spending, but they have spent. But what we are saying is, at the point where COVID hit, and national government and county government were discussing the response, was there a conversation about what is needed? Because now we are hearing some new parameters being brought up that the counties are the ones in the picture. We'd have expected to hear from the word go that this is the response we need, this is what we expect from the counties. Now, how is this conversation going between national and county?
I think it was very clear. From the very first meeting that we held with the national government, it was very clear that we had a problem in this country, and we were told to do 2 things. One of them was to set up isolation beds and ICUs, and the second thing was to undertake a massive communication program for our people, teaching them about coronavirus and telling them. So for me, it was very clear. So what I did is that once I realized, and also as leaders, you don't have to wait just for the conversation to come from the national government.
Yeah.
You're reading news, you're seeing what's happening in New York, we're seeing people falling in Italy. For example, I looked at what was happening in Italy. I looked at what was happening in New York in terms of people getting infected. And one thing struck me, is that the numbers in New York that were rising because when people are sick, normally uko na homa, umevunjika mguu, unaumwa na kichwa, you have any other disease, tumbo, likula kitu, your immune system is weak because you are sick from another disease. So it is easier for you to be infected by a virus or a bacteria when your immune system is already compromised by a wound that you already have, ulianguka na gari or whatever. So in New York, when they had all these people with COVID go to hospital, all they did was infect all these people in hospitals with low immunity. All these people are being isolated into hospitals. That is why I chose to have a field hospital away from the main hospital. So I have this Machakos field I made into a hospital because I was thinking through how not to infect my people.
Yeah.
So keep numbers. So I was saying that these are decisions you make as a leader. You look at what is happening in Kenya and you look at what is happening across the country. But the national government has really supported us. They have given us PPE PPEs. They have given us their experts. They have come, they have looked at things, and they have even given us money. Right now, I have 188 million shillings as part of that 5 billion that has come to Machakos, and we are getting support into this fight. So that has come.
So what's
So
the
our
bed
counties
capacity?
ready?
Sorry.
So are counties ready? Have counties, do you feel counties have, has the Council of Governors, which is the counties, has the response of counties been collective? Has it been decisive, and are counties ready?
I am disappointed. We've had several sessions with the president, and we're given money. And so you see, when you're
all counties given money.
all counties are given money, and so we've been given money, different degrees depending on population. And so even before the money hits, you can actually procure and pay later. So I can say that I'm a little bit disappointed by the numbers of some counties. I'm happy that quite a number of governors have tried and the systems, but also it's also good to know that this country is also very bureaucratic. The systems that we've set in place are systems that are made to make us fail. We've had a big spat with the control of budget because she came in, the new one. The governors were about to put a resolution and ask the president to fire her. We even were very strong about it. The president heard us and so we told the president, we have a problem now where it has reached, it is up to you. The president said, I'll take care of it.
What had she done?
Because what was done is that...
Because of the pending bills.
It's not even the pending bills. It's normal. You see, the law says the control of budget has to approve payments. So the job of the control budget is to look at, do you have the budget? Did you spend? Okay, approved, pay. And the former control of budget, she had set up networks whereby even if she was not there, she was taking files at home because she signed everything. And she had put up networks. But this one seemed to have considered power upon herself. If she's in a meeting for 2 days, nothing gets signed. Nothing is signed for 2 to 3 days, you know. And when governors called her, she was not very, very flexible. So maybe she's learning the system. You know, but it became to a place where by now, whatever used to take us 1 week to do is taking us 1.5 months to achieve. So that may be the challenge that many governors have faced, that there's been bureaucracy that we have created in our government system, which is why we are a poor economy today, because of the bureaucracy. And so
this has impeded
it's
in some
impeded,
cases the
but
response.
I think we could have done much better.
A lot better.
We
In
could have
spite
done
of
much
all
better.
of this, is the possibility for some work to have been done.
Yeah, in spite of all this. And I think the lesson that governors need to have, my colleagues, some of them have, and my colleagues, is that we've reached a stage now where governors have to stop. And I mean, I shouldn't say this. We have to stop trusting.
Please say it.
We have to stop trusting the people we have around us, and we have to do some bit of micromanaging. You know,
you've got to ensure
we have
that
to
the
ensure
buck stops with you.
things are done. I mean, I wake up unannounced and I go to the hospitals wearing my mask and everything and walk around. I don't want to be told stories. We have to now start micromanaging when it comes to issues of a crisis nature like this one. I can't be sitting and expecting reports. And so we have to get out of our comfort zone.
It is not just...
Let's go there. And it is not just in healthcare.
It is not just for governors.
Yes.
We have been saying this same thing about even the national government and the response for COVID-19.
Why do people say that Uhuru has really kind of failed in his agenda? He succeeded quite a bit. But one of the reasons he's failed is because he inherited a public service that is not his. And then he got into, and wacha tuongee ukweli. Hii serikali ya Uhuru alipoingia ilikuwa ya nusu mkate. Kabisa, walisikazana na Ruto wakaanza kugawana. Wakasema hii corporation patia huyu wa Ruto, hii ministry patia huyu wa Ruto, hii patia wa Uhuru, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And shida zikaingia hapo. And you know, and it felt like and I think, and I've heard this in circles and people complaining that what happened in the beginning is that Ruto, watu wake were all from one section of the country, the 50%, and then Uhuru had 50% watu wake, but he had to incorporate everybody else from the country.
To divide across.
And so you find that the loyalty problem started there. So impunity came back because you are not actually appointed based on merit. You are appointed according to a nusumkate arrangement within the Jubilee Party. And that is why people say
This affects how people then essentially do their jobs.
they do their jobs, and who do they answer to?
Right.
Yeah, you say yes sir to the president, and then you say yes sir to somebody else, or you say yes sir to somebody else, and yes sir to the president. You know what I mean? So that affected it, and that is why people are saying that yes, Jubilee has led, but has Jubilee really done a splendid job as it should have done? I saw a joke the other day that's saying that the Jubilee government has been the most democratic and fair government in Kenya. And it is true.
You saw a joke the other day.
Where was that? That's a joke.
No.
That's a
no.
joke. That's sarcastic.
I'm not done with the joke. I'm not done with the joke.
Okay.
I'm not done with the joke. It said that Jubilee government has been the fairest and the most democratic government in place, because whether you voted for it or you did not vote for it, you are suffering. So that's a joke, you know. So it is fair. It is fair, you know. Ulipigia kura, kupigia kura, bado unaumia. You know, so it has shared problems zimekuwa shared across the board. Whether ulipigia kura, so unaona umecheka kidogo. But anyway, but you see, but Uhuru Kenyatta meant well, and I know him, and I'm not just speaking about him because he's my friend, but I've listened to him, I've watched him as he talks. He gets very, very emotional. Uhuru Kenyatta gets extremely emotional about this country and about developing this country and about rolling back poverty. And so I listened to him, and he gets very emotional, and he talks about things that he needs to be done, and he sits in this meeting wanting to get these things done in public. Privately, I hear him is very consistent, and he gets very angry about things not happening. But he should have micromanaged more at the beginning. He trusted. Uhuru Kenyatta trusted the system, and I think the system let him down. But we saw him just before COVID happened, micromanaging, and now we see him trying to put his house in order because he was in the steering wheel, anaendesha gari na huko conductor anafanya vitu zingine. So now he's saying, hapana, mi ndio naendesha gari, everybody has to follow what I'm saying. But it may be too late. It may be too little too late.
You know, I don't even think it's micromanaging, it's managing. Being an effective leader is being present. Do you agree that reopening, the responsibility falls on the counties? And have the counties put in place the health safeguards as well as the socio-economic? Because, you know, to what extent can we open if we are to be real?
You see, if I was Uhuru Kenyatta, we advised him. And this is the advice we gave him. We told Uhuru Kenyatta that as governors, we are not really for the opening. As county governors, all of us are worried. Yesterday, I had a long telephone call with my Minister for Health. We are scared in Machakos. We are not even worried. We are now scared because we look at the numbers that are rising, especially in Mavoko area. That is Chokimau, Mlolongo at the river. The numbers are rising. Every day it's 20, 21, 22, 22, 30, 31 that are turning positive in our area. We're seeing our people are starting to die in Machakos. But you see, the thing is, it's in Mavoko area, the Nairobi metropolitan zone. When you cross the zone, when you go to Machakos town, you go to Mwala, Masinga, the cases are minuscule. They're hardly there, even in some sub-counties. They're not there because the lockdown has really helped. In Machakos, we stopped trucks from stopping in Machakos. Right. You know, Peter. Ukiwa uko sawa, Peter, peleka malingine. So I'm worried as a governor that when we open the lockdown, which is essential because of the economy, and I'll talk about the economy in a minute if you give me because it's part of your question. We are going to see now some bit of recklessness, and the diseases will now grow, which I'm very, very worried. My target is actually to have 970 beds, isolation beds. But now we need to move in, and people need to isolate at home and treat people. So I'm worried about that. Counties are worried. So we told the president we have to balance the economy. But we told him you can open some counties where there are no problems, movement can continue. But some counties that have problems, you may have to put restrictions on the movement. But we aptly told him not to relax the curfew. We say the curfew, let it stay.
The night curfew.
The night curfew, let it stay. We just feel that the night curfew has really helped because it is these social centers where people meet to drink and jive and have a good time. That's where the disease can really spread because, you know, alcohol is a relaxant, and it relaxes your brain and relaxes the social distancing.
It become
also.
easy.
So it becomes easy and everything, and so
Everything
we
flows.
are very happy about that.
It's a disinhibitor.
But I like that disinhibitor. But it only disinhibits what you have. So if you're an idiot, you become a better idiot. So if you're a good person, you become a better person. So
Okay.
we feel, and
That
this
you
is
should not
my
reopen.
advice to the president is this. Okay, he has to do a give and take. The economy is suffering, so you need to relax the economy. But unlike countries like Australia, where they are flat in the curve, where kids have gone back to school, where nobody's wearing a mask, unlike countries like Canada, unlike countries like European nations, where people obey the law, over here you pay 200, unavuka border. Unaelewa?
Yes.
Over
Yes.
here,
Some
over here,
people
over
never
over.
stopped.
Yeah,
By the way,
over here you do
Excellency,
some things.
Australia is reversing.
New Zealand.
Especially in,
And
yes.
Australia
In some
as well.
areas like
Australia and
Melbourne.
New Zealand, completely. But Melbourne, they want to stop. They've actually put barriers going into New South Wales.
Yes, but the difference is this: when they put those barriers,
They
you'll
want-
not find anybody
People
giving
do not
$100 or $50
Here they are suggestion.
to cross. People
Here
they are
they are a
suggesting.
hint.
But you see, this is where the president now needs to come in and say he is the commander in chief of the armed forces, or the defense forces rather. That includes the police.
So let's look
He
at the
needs
3 months.
he needs to say this. The president needs to say this. Okay, I'm relaxing the borders for this, and this place. I'm relaxing this, but by golly, obey the law or suffer the consequences.
Yep.
Fair
The
enough.
police obey the law. Don't take bribes, suffer the consequences. If there's social
What
distancing,
extreme, yeah.
let there be social
That was gonna
distancing.
be my next
If there's
question.
going to be
Fair enough,
curfew,
fair enough,
let there be
Governor.
curfew. Curfew is 9 o'clock, is not 9:02.
Okay, fair enough.
We
Governor,
have
but you know,
to
in
we
this
have to
case
put
of-
our foot down if we have to flatten the curve in 2 months. Otherwise, by December, tutakuwa tunavaa mask.
Okay.
Nini, and it will be the same
Governor
problem.
Mutua, fair enough, right? But we also say willing buyer, willing seller. And we say it sounds great when you say put our foot down.
Yes.
But the person who comes with this 100, how did we know about this 200 shillings? Because somebody offered it and somebody took it.
Exactly.
Right?
It
So
is
if you
it is
say
it is
that
it
we
our
need to
society.
Put our foot down
No, he
and
puts the foot
something
down
needs
because
to be done. That means everybody across board, individuals,
Yes,
citizens,
you
as
and I,
well as
you
the
and I.
custodians of security,
Yes, yes.
police forces, army, whatever it is, are they going to be able to take up that habit and say, okay, fine, we're not going to,
But
we're
you know,
not going
you-
to
but
take.
let me tell you, society always pushes. You know, it's like I've watched elephants as they try to break out of a national park. They usually come and test the wire. Always, they know they're not supposed to. You know, they want that freedom to move.
Yep.
They test
Yep.
the wire. It's got electricity. They keep on testing. If they test one, the electricity is low. They're gonna push it until it falls down and they cross.
Yep.
The only reason a Mwananchi will give 200 shillings to a Kenyan cop is because they take it. But an American will not give money to an American cop because they know they won't take it. You know what I mean? So, if the cops stopped taking and anybody who gave a bribe to a cop got handcuffed, Kenyans will not take, will not give. And even Kenyans know huyu anachukwanga, huyu achukwangi. Unaruma?
So, Governor, theory aside,
Yes.
because where we are sitting right now, cops are taking.
Yes, they're
In
taking.
fact, this
Even
idea
now,
that there was a
Thika Road,
lockdown,
there's traffic on Thika Road this
people-
morning, but people are coming back into the metro.
people
on
have
paper.
been,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
people have been moving in and out, and in fact, some people don't move, but there are those who pay and move. So
Yes,
actually,
yes.
there's a lot of inequity. So, what do we do
It's
about
it's
that?
the poverty levels. You know.
It's not poverty because I think the people who bribe aren't necessarily poor. You know, I think we actually do a
Excellent.
No,
big
that's how I would
injustice.
say the poverty level.
Ex-
Yeah, if you have,
excellent.
Our
I
values-
I met somebody the other day, and not met him. We talked on the phone, and he wanted to meet me. I said, "But bro, you're in Kisumu. He's not in government. He's not in business."
Right. He said,
He
"No,
said, "But
no,
you're in
I'm
Kisumu."
here."
But he said, "No, but niko Nairobi." Sema, how did you come? Akisema, Kenya ukiwa na pesa hii, hakuna mahali
Basi.
huwezi enda. You
So-
know that attitude, eh?
so-
and that is true,
So,
and that's
Governor,
unfortunate.
in real terms,
Yes.
we are here. COVID is facing us, staring
Head
us
on.
in the face. The economy cannot remain shut because there are people who need to go out and work and need to work safely. Did governors do the public sensitization?
Yes, we did.
And are you doing it?
Yes.
Do you think it's enough? How do we deal with the social, cultural? Because we also don't want militarization. We didn't like the force that was used by the police. I think it's something like 50 people have died due to the curfew, enforcement of curfew. Human rights violations. You know, that is the other extreme that is really unacceptable.
Well,
So-
see, the president has to find a way. Because you look at the bigger picture, where will we be if we have a pandemic and people start dying on our doorsteps like they're doing in Brazil and Ecuador? You know what I mean? It's realistic. I mean, in Machakos, we got together what we call rules of engagement, and stage 1, stages 2, 3. We have even in Machakos, and maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but we have identified mass graves and we haven't gazetted places for mass graves in case we get there. We don't want to get there, but we are prepared.
It's preparation.
Because
Yeah.
people are being buried. You bury your loved one, you see them for 30 seconds, you just see the casket, they are being put in a field. Next. In Brazil, it's a rich economy than we are, but that's what's happening. So we don't want to get there. So what you're calling militarization, what you're calling watu waweze kutii sheria, we may have to wait and say, okay, don't go beating people, but let the law be followed to the letter. We have to police the police. So you may have to put a team together,
Yep.
even if it says use the military police who are not in the police to police the regular police. You know what I mean?
What did you do in Machakos?
So that you can police the
What
police.
did you do in Machakos to build compliance? Because I think we want to say the last recourse should be the use of force. Already there's use of force.
It's the use of force, but it's not even about use of force.
So
It
are
is
there
just-
any other options?
just
about
ens-
enforcement.
It's just ensuring that people, for example, very clear, curfew is at 9 o'clock. You don't need to use force. If somebody is driving around at 9 or 2, pull the car aside, tow it to a police station, hit them with a fine of 200,000 shillings. You'll get the car in December, even after they pay. Send them home. After a while, when you've got all these latecomers, all their cars are in police stations, cannot be released until 6
They'll
months
stay at home.
after COVID, everybody will stay at home. What we've done is that in addition to educating our people, we have also been a bit strict. And this comes also to capacity. Because when I became governor, I bought over 150 vehicles for police and inspectorate. So we've got vehicles that go around, my inspectorate vehicles, small saloon cars, patrol vehicles like they do. So what we've done is that we've placed those patrol cars across around our roads. So if a truck comes and stops, we are with it within 5 minutes. Why are you stopping here? Can you pass on? Can you move on away from Machakos? They're also moving around, ensuring that bars are closed. We did something that was very controversial. We stopped alcohol from being delivered in Machakos because we realized very quickly that the bars are closed. But every morning, these lorries from the alcohol factories are delivering, crates and crates and crates every morning. Hii pombe kwani inaenda wapi? Kwani kuna mtu mwingine na we are exporting or somehow? Ama tuneka stock because people are entering from the back. So we cracked the whip. I work very closely with the county administration, the national government administration, the county commissioner, Esther Maina. Wonderful, very, very hardworking lady, the police commander. I hold meetings with them basically weekly where we discuss how to enforce and how to do things. So we're working as a team. So my county inspectorate and the police are now working as one team. So they're able to check each other and be able to move. And so we respond to things all the time. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. We respond to issues. So that's how we've been able to do it. But we can't do everything. You can't do everything. The Uhuru's government needs to really crack the whip when it comes to security enforcement.
Suffice to say that this cannot happen in other counties because of a lack of will as opposed to a lack of resources?
That's a setup question.
Really? I'm asking.
No, I mean, I was asked about Machakos, so I'll talk about Machakos and what we're doing in Machakos. What others are doing, others may be doing better or worse. It's up to
But we're
them.
talking about a
Governor,
country. We're
I haven't
talking
heard
about
you
a
mention the
complete
public.
country here.
I haven't heard you mention the public participation system. I haven't heard you talk about how is that working.
No, what we're doing is that the other thing that we've succeeded in Machakos is that we involved all our elected leaders. So we've had meetings with our elected members of parliament, including and then elected county assembly members. We have empowered our MCAs and our MPs. In Machakos, we are manufacturing masks. Our youth polytechnics are manufacturing masks. We are getting masks out at 25, 30, 50,000 a day. So we give them to our MCAs who now take them to the community, whereby as they hand them over with this system, we've got public address system where they tell them to comply and the dangers of the disease. So my Machakos MCAs, the leadership in Machakos, from the governor all the way down to MCAs, to our village administrators. They are busy and we're getting reports from the ground. So we're working as one team, and that has really helped. So we don't have infighting,
Yeah.
we don't have political issues. We are saying these are disease. We fight this disease.
It.
Yeah, other
there's,
things
There's
will come
something,
later.
Governor, that you
Socioeconomic?
mentioned, and
Yes.
you talked about the economy. And the other
Yes.
reality that we have now is lockdown of Nairobi County, the biggest economy in terms of the Nairobi metropolitan. This is the hub of the country's economy, has had an impact on very many people, at least
And
a million
it's not
people.
just Nairobi, it's all these things, that movement. But
all
also,
the urban areas.
the question is this.
So if we continue the lockdown in terms of restricting the movement, there are those that are arguing, if you open up the movement, I'm going to be able to go to my shags.
and take the disease.
Yes, take the disease, yes, but also I'll be able to go and be able to
Afford
live
life.
better, afford life
Yeah,
there. Assuming
You
that
you
I
see-
am negative of the disease.
you see-
How do you strike that balance? The president spoke about it. Lives and livelihoods.
It's the question we need to ask here. You know, you're asking, you're talking about a symptom. You know, let's talk about the cause of the disease. And I'm glad you're still employed, and I want you to continue being employed, Latif, because at the rate that media houses are firing everybody, you don't know whether
You don't
tomorrow
know, yes.
you'll have everything, because they are responding to the economy.
Yep.
But the question is, why are we where we are? It's because, and I'll repeat something I've said here before, it's because we've had an economy that has been run with the wrong methodology. We choose our leaders the wrong way. And there's a young man who was walking me here, who was asking me about opening up, you know, and kasema kuna shida, sema but nyinyi viongozi ndio mmeharibu Kenya. Nikasema lakini nani anapigia kura viongozi? Unajua, we choose our people, and you talked about me speaking many languages. I was talking about the tribal blocks that we've been put, where you're told you're a Kamba, you're a Luo, you're a Kiu. You know, when I grew up in Kibera, when I grew up in Kawangware, in Satellite, in a wooden shack, my neighbors were Luo, Luya, Kikuyu, Meru. We are all united in poverty. I never cared the kids I played with. It doesn't matter what tribe you are, but when it comes to politics, it's all about tribe. If today you hear there's an accident and your loved one, your mother or your father or your lover or your children or your brother or your sister amegongwa na gari, tumbo imepasuka, amekimbizwa hospitali, when you run to that hospital and you find them in a galley dying, and they say we need to rush him or her to theater, if the surgeon operates on him or her, ata survive. Do you start asking, ngoja kidogo, huyo surgeon ni kabila gani? Ngoja, nataka tu surgeon wa Mjaluo kama mimi, nataka surgeon Mkikuyu kama mimi, nataka surgeon, you know what I mean? We don't care. But when it comes to politics, it's like mundu witu, mtu wangu, mundu wakwa, you know, we hivi kanye bika, duona kama unaongea lugha yangu. Unaelewa? So we start getting back into the tribal cocoons which were put to us by the colonial powers. You know, they gave us physical freedom, but not mental freedom. We're still mentally colonized today into these cocoons of tribe.
But it's
and so
by politicians.
Yes, but to
Mheshimiwa.
see who elects the politicians and who perpetuates the politicians into power. And as a journalist, I can say that as journalists, we are greatly to blame. Look at the headlines today. The headlines and even the topics that are put in, the people put on the face, are those tribal chieftains. We have bought into this. So, at times I laugh. You see editors so busy putting that personality who is leading a tribal block on the front page and headline, na huyo tribal huyo mtu yuko sawa, na huyo editor kesho anapatiwa pink slip, anaambiwa enda nyumbani, anakaa hapa nyumbani, anaangalia na watoto, cannot even afford a newspaper that he was putting together, na huyo mtu alikuwa na support yuko sawa. His life or her life is continuing well. You know, even the law of self-preservation says, as media, we need to start talking about the leaders that people need to follow, the kind of leadership that needs to be followed, not the same tribal cocoons. Because at the end of the day, we suffer. Our people will follow what they are told to follow. You know what I mean?
I agree in part with that, but there was a question that we asked about the economy.
Yes.
What have you done in Machakos?
As I said,
to safeguard, and what lessons are there then in terms of
you see, Machakos, we've tried. You know, I have brought in over close to now over 300 new factories have come to Machakos. I've created an environment because government cannot go setting up factories. That is an old-fashioned way of doing things. I'm a capitalist. Empower the private sector to grow and set up factories and let those factories be able to employ our people and let the private sector grow. That is how you grow an economy. That's what they did in Croatia. That's what they do in the US, in Australia, and other places. It's a private sector.
So have you had to institute safeguards? Because obviously some of these factories aren't operational now.
I have worked with the business community, and I've also looked at supporting small businesses because that's where the money is. We've had over 52,000 new businesses set up in Machakos, and we've looked at even the informal sector and what to do with them. We've revived the agricultural sector. Now even Machakos, as you know, we are no longer in the relief food, because once you feed people and they're okay, everything goes on. So we've done our share. But you see, Machakos cannot survive by itself. It needs to survive in a region called Kenya unless we declare our own independence. So we've done what we can, but you get things that have been sacked. I mean, my ambulances are serving other counties. My hospitals are serving other counties.
How has COVID affected those investments that you've made? Who are those vulnerable, and how are you safeguarding those vulnerable?
Actually, the most vulnerable people in Machakos currently are the people who live in the townships, if I can call them that. The people in the villages are okay, per se, because in terms of food, they're fine. You know, we get free seeds, we have tractors plowing. People thought it would not work. The boreholes we've dug, the dams we've dug, it's working. We have a surplus in our galas. I was getting a report yesterday. We can last for 7 months to 8 months, mostly in Machakos, in the villages. We have enough food. We don't want food relief. We don't need food relief because of the investments we've put in terms of agriculture.
So these people
but
were
in
in
our
urban
townships,
areas,
townships is a problem because of the jobs closing down, of factories and this social distancing and all that. So people are being laid off. But the bigger question is, why is it in our country?
How are you safeguarding those?
Let's go specifically now.
In
COVID-19,
all we can do,
to support.
But we are not seeing that really trickling down, and it can't. What we need is not just a fund. We need a system where you've got a social welfare cushioning system like they have in Canada, in Australia, in the US, in South Africa, where people can get unemployment benefits. That's a system that we should have put in place a long time ago, where we can cushion the vulnerable. But also that requires an economy that is growing, not an economy that is deeply indebted. We need to be talking about money. And we need to have our headlines talking about money, not talking about which tribe is sitting at the table, wagawane keki. So we are bringing people to the table to share ideas, but these people are being brought on tribal lines, not on what they can do.
You're going around this question. So let's go straight into the question. Do you have a number of people who are right now vulnerable and affected by COVID-19 who require government assistance? And what kind of assistance are you giving?
We have in Machakos 1,972 people who we've classified as vulnerable. We are feeding them. Because at the end of the day, it's about food. So you can stay home. You don't have to work. You don't have to drive. You don't have to do anything. But you can feed. You can feed. We are feeding them. I asked, and President Uhuru, I'm glad agreed, that we don't disconnect power from people. We don't. We allow people, to operate without power being disconnected. But unfortunately, he said, usikatie watu stima kama wajalipa bill. But majority of our people use that token. Sasa unajua what you should have said is that, your 100 shillings should give you 500 shillings worth. And that's where it should be. Because Kenya Power has made enough money. It has money. We can give some. So there's more that could have been done. So what I can do in Machakos, the feeding we are doing in collaboration with the national government, is not enough in terms of giving people cushioning for money. But we've tried to get our markets to continue opening. We want circulation. We are supporting our construction industry to continue operating. So people are still working and money is still circulating. Shops are opening because that's the only way growing the economy getting. But at the end of the day, as I leave, we'll have to ask the question of where are we going as a country? Are we going to suffer every time a calamity hits the world? Or do we want a government that thinks about economy? Do we want leadership that is economic, driven? Such that
you are actually that leader who can do all these things.
I feel and I know because of my experience and with God's blessing that it is time for us to look at leaders according to what they can do and the vision they have and the energy they have to work. And that is why you've given me the opening. That is why I'm running for president in 2022. And people ask me, Mutua, what is your tribal block? When the kingpin, I don't want to be the kingpin of the Kambas. I don't want to be a village
what's
elder.
your vote base?
I want my vote base to be the suffering Kenyan, who is the majority, the women, the young women and men who are unemployed, the mothers who don't have enough money in their pockets, the people who are being fired from their jobs regardless of their tribes. Those are the people. Mimi ni sauti ya wanyonge. You know, the word hustler is not very good. We look at the dictionary definition. And so those are the people I want to represent in our country. The people who I'm saying I have the energy to lead, I have the foresight, I've been able to gather experience nationally and internationally and locally, working for President Kibaki, running a very successful government. I know what it takes. I'm young enough. I have the energy. Obama took over when he was 46, 42?
Governor.
JFK
Governor.
took over in 40s, Bill Clinton. We have the energy to do these things.
We have dynastic politics in Kenya.
Yes.
And we agree, and I think many people are fed up.
Yes.
But the reality is it takes money, and there are those, to be able to unseat this system.
Yes.
Now, what is the possibility of that happening if the opposition can't come together and give one candidate? Because you're declaring your candidacy. We also have another leader
and that is
who
okay.
has declared in the same area. So, practically speaking, to what extent do we expect to have a real a coalition of interest that will unseat? Because the problem, I think, is not just about leadership.
In terms of
it's
dynasties,
also a system.
dynasties versus everybody else.
But wait, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Let me make my question.
Yes.
There is a system that is very well entrenched is designed to
can I cut you short because I disagree because what you're doing, you're poisoning the public and you are basically telling the people it doesn't matter what you do, there's already a system. Let's not tell our people. It's like telling our kids that it doesn't matter what you do, you can never be a doctor because of this thing, because you are born poor in the village. Let's not tell our people that there's a system. Let's tell our people there's a habit that we've had, but there's nothing that cannot be broken. I mean, people never thought that Moi would cease to be president.
Yes, but
you know what I mean?
The NAC coalition.
But that is where we are getting. That is where we are going. And it is good when many voices stand up and say, we are calling for this, because eventually it will come together. And it will come together? Let other people ask, but let the people select. There will be polls. And it will be very clear that among these people, this person is bankable beyond their tribe. Because even if every Kamba voted for me, and I did not get a Luo, a Kikuyu, a Meru, a Kipsigis, a Somali vote, I would never be president of this country. So you need a leader who by themselves can get support from other groups. The poor, the rich, the Kamba, the Kikuyu, the Luos. And then it will be very clear to us, all of us, that this is the person who the rest should back up to fight against the so-called system.
Excellency, how do you get people to change their way of thinking? Because what Wanjiru is saying is actually true in this sense.
People need to be fed up, and we need to get people. We need to get people to a point. And I like what you're saying. I like what you're saying. We've got 2 years. It's a long time.
In 1992, when multi-party democracy came on board, it was widely conceived that Moi would go out. But what happened? The opposition fielded
fragmenting.
There was fragmentation.
There was a fragmentation.
Yes, and this continued in 97 again.
Let me give you some.
Let me give you two elections for political leaders to say, okay, now we better come together so that we can have a new.
But in the last two elections, we've had coalitions. We've had the NASA coalition, the CORD coalition, and the Jubilee coalition as well. We are getting into that kind of politics.
Let me give you some sense of hope. Let me give you some hope. Let me give you some hope. I can inform you here today that Mutua is not working alone. I'm not working alone. I'm working with other leaders. We are biding our time. We have the aspects of a coalition going on. So when I say I'm running for president to win, is because I have other very, very senior leaders that we are working together to take over this country. While we are young and energetic, while we care about the economy and changing the fortunes of our people. So I want to tell the Kenyans who are listening that do not give up hope. Tuko na game, tuko na plan, tuko na pesa, tumejipanga, and you'll see it happen. But I want you to know that we cannot continue business as usual. Our children were not born to suffer. Why is it that a child in France is not walking around barefoot with no pants, and in Kenya they are doing the same? Yet we are a country with a lot of resources. Tumechoka kuenjoiwa, and we have to educate our people, but it has to start here. The media also have to support us, have to start giving voices to other voices, not to the same people, and perpetuating the same dynasties that you are talking against.
Very good point.
Because we are the one who are teaching the people.
We actually do support, but sometimes we have one difficulty. We can't tell the difference between the politicians. We actually can't.
But you can tell
What
the
do you
difference
stand
between me
for
and
that
others.
this
Yes,
is
yes,
not-
yes.
What do you stand for
I-
that
this
this
the
is
other
not-
is very clear.
We
You
need
can
an
tell the
alternative
difference here.
So when we
narrative.
keep
Not only-
inviting
not
you,
only on
Governor
age,
Mutua,
but-
when we keep inviting you,
Yes.
keep coming to
I will
the show.
keep coming and we talk. And,
As you
and,
formulate.
and congratulations, you're doing very well. This show is very, very popular. We hear it every time I come to this show. People talk about it and everything. And so keep on doing it. I want to encourage you. Let's change, what do you call it? We change the language. Let's
Change
the narrative.
Let's change the narrative. It's the word I was looking for. Kizungu ni ngumu, likuja na meli. Let's change the narrative. Let's empower our people to know they don't have to take it.
Agreed.
They don't be shafted on them. They don't have to take it. They can say no to mechoka. They can empower their people. And it only takes a bit of a revolution to change this country. And that's what I'm going for.
Nice.
We are going to turn around the youth of this country who are the majority. They don't care about tribal blocks. They don't care about the history. They want money now. They want somebody who can take them from where they are to a sense of hope.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm running for president, to tell them that we are not born to suffer. We were created by the same God who created the Croatians, who created the Americans, who created the British, the
And the
French, the
Mongolians.
Australians, the Mongolians, who created others who are doing better than us.
Yeah.
We are not created by the devil. What we've done is that we vote like the devil. We vote for the wrong people. What in wapatie parting shot?
Yes.
I was telling this young man who was complaining about leaders, nikamwambia, unajua, if you employ a house help, I'm just using a house help, by it's not, it's
For
example, if you employ a house help and huyu house help yuko hapo na huyu house help poisons your child, aseme by mistake, anapika vibaya akaeka dawa panya kidogo, by mistake mtoka akakufa. Alafu ukamfuta kazi, ukakasirika, and then you need a new house help, umezaa tena, unaenda unamlete huyo tena, alafu ana poison another mtoto tena, anaenda, alafu unaenda to the village whereby they don't know how to cook properly, unachukua dada yake ama ndugu yake unamlete, anaua mtoto wako wa tatu. Mjinga ni nani? Shida iko wapi? Iko kwa house help ama iko kwako unayemwandika? Mwananchi, the voter, is the one who employs the leaders. And somebody once said that you get the leaders you deserve. So we have to tell our people to stop electing the wrong people. Because kama nimekupatia shamba ulime na hujalima, kwa nini kuandike kazi? So we have to educate our people about the qualities of a leader. We move it from politics to policy. What will this person do? And the question is this: some people wanting to be presidents, you ask them, you're in a very senior position, what will you do more that you've been unable to do in your current position? Because
We know the
kama
ones you are asking.
kama umeshindwa kufunga mabao, kama
How are
umeshindwa
you going to be
kufunga,
able to do it on a grand scale?
yeah,
You know the
because
ones you
kama
ask.
umeshindwa kufunga mabao
As
ukiwa
number 10.
junior league, ukiingia premier league hautaweza kufunga bao because you are tested by what you do. So you know,
But
people
Governor, you
want
need
to be
give
president,
us
they want to be
policy
power.
positions,
Yeah.
because there are things
Actually,
that are
I do have
We
them.
were
But
talking about
let me tell you, the last time I came here,
SGR.
the last time I came here, I gave examples of some things I want to do.
Yeah.
The following 2 days, I saw another leader also running for president talk about my policies as if they were his policies. I went somewhere else. I had a speech about something I want to
so
do.
you've stopped
After about 1-2 days, I saw the same leader and another leader copy what I'm saying.
So you're not gonna
my
say it's
strategy,
Invite them
my
to your
strategy,
coalition.
amesema, wait until you unveil your manifesto clearly, because every
So
time you
it's
talk
clear
about
that it's yours.
something,
So now
wengine
strategy is in
wanaangalia mtu
secrecy.
amesema nini, inatokea. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
because
Governor.
because of their networks in the media, they get highlighted. They look like they're the ones coming
They're
up
the
with
ones who
ideas.
have said it. Yes,
Have
it was
said
your
it,
idea.
and it was my idea. So
You
I'm not
can't
going to be
help
here
them
to
write
help
their
others come up
manifesto.
with strategies.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Governor, before you go, listen to today's proverb from C.T. Muga, and then we let you go.
Even if you dance for your enemy on the rock, he will accuse you of splashing water on him.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. True. And maybe that's what Uhuru has found out. God bless you.
Asante sana, Alfred Mutua, Governor of Machakos County. Thank you very much. God bless you as well.
Asante, and I ask your listeners to follow me on Twitter at Dr. Alfred Mutua, also on Facebook and also on Instagram. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep the hope alive. And also, wanauliza ask and shall be given. So, kwa uwezo wa Mwenyezi Mungu, ukiwa hapo kwa unyenyekevu mwingi na kuomba, I ask for your support as we get together to change this country as I run for president in 2022.
Thank you very much.